start by like a quick introduction on what is Sigfox, and I'll switch to my slides to do that. So share my screen. So yeah, just as an introduction, I'm called Anthony, and my job at Sigfox is to help startup building amazing project with Sigfox, basically. So we help them to go from a prototype to go to actually a full product and commercialize it and distribute it. So we actually help a lot startup to go on to market, just as a side note, and this is my job basically. So just as a quick intro of what is Sigfox. First, because we hear a lot of stuff about Sigfox right now, a lot of wrong and actually some right part, but a lot of is wrong. Sigfox first doesn't sell chipsets. We don't do that ourselves. We have an amazing ecosystem to do that. We don't build solutions as well, so you will never see a Sigfox device on the market. We power devices, but there is no Sigfox devices at all. We have a huge ecosystem as well to create devices, but we actually don't make it ourselves. What we did is that we invented radio protocol, so basically a software stack to enable objects to communicate on the air, and we operate a global network based on this protocol. This is what we do, basically. So you may have heard about this word before, is LPWAN. So a couple of years ago, we wanted to really actually empower IoT, and the founders of Sigfox actually told themselves that if you really want to talk about billions of objects in 4, 5, or 6 years, you need objects which are very, very low power, meaning you don't have to change the battery every day, and devices that can actually communicate on a very wide area, etc. And we realized that this kind of network didn't exist. So right now, the race is 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G to go more powerful, more data, etc. But actually, the war of if you want to connect billions of objects, you have to go the other way, like less data, less energy, etc. And there was no such network, so they decided to create one based on the Sigfox protocol. And this is what we call the LPWAN networks, so low power wide area network. And as it's stated here, the two main difference of regular network is that it's extra low power. Devices can go years in battery life, and it's very wide area. We'll see that later. But this is what you have to understand. Few points as well about Sigfox that you need to know is that it's one network. So basically, there is no frontiers with Sigfox. There is no roaming fees. If you're covered with Sigfox, your object will work exactly the same. If you can move with your object in different countries, everywhere there is Sigfox, it's going to work the same, and it will work. The only thing which is different, and we'll see that later, is that in some area of the world, like the US, for example, the radio is a bit different. Like your phone, for example, but it's different radio zones. So the object has to talk a bit differently, but it's basically one network. Second thing about Sigfox, which is very important, is that it's very energy efficient. Right now, we have devices in the field, actually in a couple of cities, which will go up to 10 years of battery life, so without changing the battery. So, if you want to talk about billion of objects, as I said, you need objects which can communicate a very, very long time. And for that, you need a very, very low power solution for communication. And this is what Sigfox is. Right now, most of the devices are few years battery life. It's completely autonomously. First thing, which is very important as well to understand, is that it's very cost oriented. Basically, doing Sigfox is quite cheap on a lot of different levels, and we will come back to that later. But it's key, again, if you want to do millions or billions of devices, that they cost very cheap and that communication is very cheap. So the whole model of Sigfox is made to be cheap, and even for the network part, to make it even cheaper for you as customers. And the last thing is that it's that simple. If I have some minutes at the end, I'm going to show you some Arduino code just to explain you how it is. But basically, it's send a Sigfox message, it's a couple of lines of code, and that's it. So right now, startups are in a very good shape, let's say, because thanks to this technology, which is very disruptive, there is a lot of new use case to discover and to invent. So it's a very perfect timing for startups to invent new services based on this technology, because we are capable of stuff that we were not capable before, and there is a huge market demand for that, and that's why it's in bold in my presentation. We have a lot of requests for smart solutions based on Sigfox. So the solutions that you could actually build today, for example, with Sigfox, and which we are not capable before is, for example, like you see the trash on my slides, connected trash cans, where you can optimize, the way that people go to retrieve the trash, and then you gain a lot of gas, etc. So, just having a connected trash makes a lot of sense because you can optimize the way you can collect them. Same for fire starting use case, where you can actually put a lot of Sigfox sensors, so smoke detectors with Sigfox communication everywhere in the forest and detecting if smoke is going. So this is possible with Sigfox because devices are very cheap, but it was not possible before with like 3G or whatever because it was too power hungry and too expensive. Right now with Sigfox, it's really possible. And one of the most important thing in this slide is the washing machine that you see on the bottom line. It's basically predictive maintenance. Right now, with a couple of dollars, with modules, we can cost a couple of dollars. We can actually predict when the machine is going to fail, and when for example, you're going to have a water leak, or when your dishwasher is going to fail. So it's very important that we can do predictive maintenance and a lot of stuff. So the core concept of what is Sigfox basically. This is that. What is Sigfox is it's one device, like a Sigfox ready device. So it can be a water meter, it can be a watch, it can be any kind of device that you can put Sigfox in. It's going to emit this message in the air and then be picked up by our antennas, which usually are in the same kind of area than mobile antennas, for example. So on the roof, on really high towers, etc. So you usually don't see the Sigfox antennas. They are very high, but they actually kind of a global network because of like that. When it's picked by our network, it's actually sent to our cloud and then shipped to your server. So this is the whole idea behind Sigfox. Just a device connecting to an antenna and then sending back to your own application server. That's it. This is what is Sigfox. Of course, it's very complex behind it, but we made it that easy for you. And how easy it is, Sigfox? Basically, it's sending an AT command. So if you talk with a module, it's very simple. You just have to, send, for example, what we call an attention frame, $80 and you send the payload. So here it's in plain text, so it's not going to work this way. Yes, it has to be hexadecimal, but it's this is it. You only need one line of code to send a Sigfox message, and then you receive the answer on your server automatically. What is really important as well when you do a device is actually all the the side costs of the device, development cost, subscription cost and certification cost, for example. With Sigfox, it's that simple. As I said before, it's one big network. So if you want to target, for example, all Europe and all Africa, which is what we call the ETSI zone, or radio frequency stuff, you can develop one device, subscribe one subscription, and certify your device once. And you're going to be able to ship it on all the countries of all Europe and all Africa where you have Sigfox. So this is very important to understand that Sigfox make available innovation for startup, because before, if you wanted to do a device and ship it to all of us countries, you had to go through all the operator certification, which were really costly, etc., country by country. Right now with Sigfox, you do the CE certification and you do the Sigfox certification, which is very cheap, and then you can ship everywhere in these countries. Subscription is the same. As I said, it's one network. There is no roaming fee. You pay once and you can connect in the world. So you subscribe once, and whatever your device ships, it's going to work the same. And it's again the same for development. As it's very easy to do Sigfox, you can just do one only firmware, load it into your device, and ship it everywhere in the radio zones. So again, very simple on the device manufacturing part. In the beginning, if you remember, actually I talked about low power wide area network, and when we talk about wide area, we are very serious about it. So how long range it is, Sigfox? So in ideal case, when I'm outside, etc., we are at around 200 kilometers from a device to an antenna. We have a record at 980 kilometers, which was set by a French startup. So the device was in Italy and the antenna was in Spain. So they crossed the Mediterranean Sea, worked really, really well. So, this is ideal case, something we like to show, but it's not really what happened in reality. In reality, what we see most, let's say in 80% of the case, is that it's more close to 2 to 10 kilometers between the device and the antenna. And in rural areas, because of course, if there is less buildings, etc., it's less crowded, so it's way better for radio. Devices can go up to 100 kilometers or 200 kilometers. Yeah, so this is very different, depending on where you are. So outdoor and indoor, it's also very, very important to understand that it's working in indoor. Again, it's radio, so it works quite the same. But we are not here to sell you magic. There is some physical laws applied to it. If you have phone, if you have like any kind of Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, you realize that walls are, make it harder. So of course, your Sigfox device, is going to work a bit less when you're indoor than when you're outdoor. And that's why we work with device makers, to do like, if a device will work indoor, we'll make it even better because it has to communicate from indoor. But again, it's working indoor and no question about it. It's just you have to be careful about the physical law which applies to everything. This part as well is wrong title, sorry. So it's bidirectional. It's a bidirectional network. So you could see that, of course, the network works from the object to the cloud. So just coming back data from the object to the device, to the cloud, sorry, and the other way as well. So you can send you can send a message from the cloud to the object. So it's bidirectional. What is important to understand is that our device, they don't listen all the time because this is what consumes a lot of battery. And again, if you remember the beginning, I told you that our network was made for energy efficiency. So here, if you want to talk to the device has to actually ask for it first. This is a very important concept to understand. So basically, if you want to say something to the device has to ask for the server and ask if there is like a new update or something, and then we answer to the device. But you won't be able to ping the device at any time you want. This is not how it happens. The device itself had to ask for a request to the server and I wait for an answer. This is how downlink works in Sigfox. Of course, all these nice stuff comes with some downsides. So you won't be able to fit a photo or a video in a Sigfox message, of course. So we talk about small messages. So if you're technical enough, basically a Sigfox message is 12 bytes. So for example, you can put 2 GPS coordinates in there. You can put, I don't know how many millions of kind of messages there, but it's actually kind of small. And you can send it, a few times an hour. So if you want to actually in Europe, if you want to send 12 bytes, you can only send 6 times per hour. So you can send 6 messages per hour. Where I'm going to talk about it a bit afterwards. So just to come back on this limitation about Sigfox, the technology itself is not limited at all in terms of message per hour. We could do 100 bytes per second all the time. But as we are using a shared frequency, the 868 megahertz frequency in Europe and the 902 in the US, so it's a band which is unlicensed, so everybody can use it. But as everything which is shared by a lot of people, you have to apply to some rules to avoid, to avoid too much collision, etc. So this rule in Europe is that you have to talk only 1% per hour. So if you look in 1 hour, you have 3,600 seconds. So if you want to talk 1% about it, you have to divide by 100, and then you actually can communicate 36 seconds per hour. This is how much you can communicate per hour. One Sigfox message takes 6 seconds to send. So you divide 36 seconds of emission by 6 seconds of Sigfox message, and you actually get 6 messages per hour. This is how you calculate how many messages that you can send per hour. And if you have any question, please let me know afterwards. I can explain it a bit better afterwards. Regarding costs, this is a key point about Sigfox. We have to understand that developing a Sigfox network is, like dozens of times cheaper than developing a regular network, because our base stations are cheaper. We need way less base stations, and this is why, because we are wide area. So of course, if you send a message really far, you don't need as much base stations. So for example, for France, we have 1,500 base stations to cover the whole country, which is actually very low. So the network itself doesn't cost lots to deploy, which means it will be cheaper for you to use. And this is very important to understand. Actually getting some Sigfox for some device is very cheap. We talk about few euros per year per device. So when you look at your, for example, GSM or like phone stuff, which is very expensive, getting Sigfox in a device is only a few euros per year per device. And it can go as low as less than €1 per year per device if you want a lot of connections and if you don't want to send a lot of message. So this is very important to understand. The other point I want to mention is the cheap hardware. Right now, doing Sigfox is a couple of euro per device. If you want to do I don't know, like 1,000 or 10,000 devices, the cost of putting Sigfox in your device is only going to cost you something like less than €2.50 or something like that. So you can actually put Sigfox for really cheap in your device. And this is very important. If you want to do millions of devices, again, it has to be cheap. And this is very important. So just for the technical guys in there who want to understand what is Sigfox, I wanted to explain you a bit about the technology we're using, and which is called the ultra narrowband, because it's something which was used 60 years ago and which was completely forgotten. And we are using it again because it's actually really nice for what we want to do. So what is Sigfox? So basically, Sigfox is, we are listening to a part of the spectrum, of the radio spectrum, and we are listening to 200 kilohertz of the band. So 200 kilohertz is basically this. So this is what, the radio frequency looks on the Sigfox base stations. You could see on the left of the picture, which is 868.034, which is the beginning of the band. And at the extreme right, you can't see it because it's cropped on my slide, sorry, but it's 868.200 something. So it's basically meaning that we listen to 200 kilohertz of this band. And on these 200 kilohertz of band, each Sigfox message is 100 hertz wide. So this is what you can see inside the small red line. This is how a Sigfox message looks like on a base station. So you can see that you can actually put a lot of Sigfox messages just on this frequency band. So if you, for example, I get this question a lot, like, is Sigfox going to fail in 2 years because there are going to be too many devices? The answer is simple, and it's no. Because right now we are using only a few % of the network itself, and we have already, I think, 8 million of devices on the network. We can go to billions, and the network will actually still be made for it. So capacity on the network of Sigfox network is something we can handle easily, just because of the technology you're using. And we made this technology choice just for that, because we knew there are going to be millions of devices tomorrow. I'm coming back on this slide because it's very important. You can see that the Sigfox message, there is 3 parts. So it's basically because it's the same message, but it's repeated 3 times. So to ensure really, really high quality of service, the Sigfox protocol repeats the message 3 times. So if for one reason you have like a message which is going to be lost, you still have the 2 other ones which will be actually get by the Sigfox base stations. So it means that we can actually achieve very, very high quality of service, which a lot of other service can't actually achieve. And this is very important to understand, that it's not because Sigfox is cheap and that it's low cost and it's low power, that it's low quality. We have SLAs that nobody else can actually do right now in the market. So this is very important to understand. Yeah, switching back to the next one. And so basically, what is UNB compared to other technologies? So ultra narrowband is something you can look on the left of the slide with all the small bikes on the highway. So basically, a frequency is like a highway. There is like a lot of space, and you have to fit a lot of message on it. So a Sigfox message is like a bike. It's not really well ordered, but you can put a lot of them at the same time. It will be a bit of a mess, but you have enough space to put all of them, no problem. This is the Sigfox stuff on the left. On the right, you have what we call channels with what other technologies are using. And you can see that, okay, it's really well ordered, and you can maybe have bigger messages, but you can send way less, and the capacity is way less than on Sigfox. So this is what other technologies are using, and you can see by yourself that there are going to be some problems about that, because of if tomorrow a lot of devices actually come on the network, people using this kind of technology would have actually a problem with that. Just to come back on the frequencies we are using, again, we are using ISM bands, meaning that they are shared and non-licensed. And this is why a startup like Sigfox could actually become a network operator without spending billions of euros on network frequency. It's because they're free. And in Europe, it's dedicated to one band called the 868 megahertz band. And we are sharing it with others. It works really well. And in the US, it's not the same. It's 902 megahertz. And in LATAM, I think, Latin America and Australia, for example, it's 920, if my memory is good. But what is important to understand here is that one device can work on all the frequency at the same. The same device can work on all this frequency. This is not something we advise, but if you want, and we already have some device which works like this, you can do one device which will work exactly the same in all the world. It just have to adapt to all the local frequency. So yeah. Regarding hardware solutions, so this is something I wanted to really explain to people, because we can see a lot of wrong terms used on the net, and open source this and open source that. It's very funny, but it's not something actually which is right. So Sigfox, we have an open hardware approach, meaning that everybody, and I mean everybody, like silicon vendors, module vendors, etc. So basically the guys like Atmel, Texas Instruments, and on Semi, all these guys, all the semiconductors, they can do Sigfox modules and hardware, and it will be for free. We don't take any money out of devices. This is not the model. We have no monopoly on the stack. It's completely free. Everybody can actually get it and use it. So that's it. What we do is that we certify solutions. We certify the modules to be sure that they communicate correctly on the network, and we certify the devices in the end to make sure that the device that you do communicate well on radio. And this is very important for us to know that you communicate well. If your device is crap, it's not going to work on the network, so it's completely useless. So this is very important to understand our approach, meaning that we make our IP available to everybody, and we actually, our business model is just getting subscription from the network. So the antenna, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but basically this is the most important part of a connected object. You never see it in your phone, or you never see it in any object, because it's really well done and integrated in the plastic or on the PCB, etc. But this is the most important part of a connected object. If a connected object is not connected, it's useless. And it can be funny, but it's actually not if you fail it. So this is very important. And an antenna is always a perfect balance between the design of the product. Of course, if you do a watch, it's going to be really hard to put a 15-centimeter antenna in your watch, and performance. So of course, if you want, for example, something which is -2 in your basement, you're going to need big antenna to make it work. Two main websites to actually get information on this Sigfox is partners.sigfox.com, which is all the solutions made for Sigfox are there. So the modules, the hardware, etc. Everything made for Sigfox is there. And ask.sigfox.com, which is basically like a kind of a Stack Overflow, where you can ask all your questions, and some Sigfox guys will answer, or the community or whatever. So it's basically where our community goes. I'm going to do some bit advertisement for my program here. So we have a startup program made for startups who want to start with Sigfox, and we actually get a lot of stuff from there. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide, but basically what is interesting is that if you want to know more about the startup program, please let me know. I'm available on Twitter or whatever. You'll see my email. Please, if you are a startup you want to do with Sigfox, let me know. We're going to help you for sure. So regarding coverage, where does Sigfox work? So right now it's working completely fully in 6 countries. So we covered completely France, Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And we are deploying it right now in 18 more countries like the US, Australia, Germany, Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia, etc. So we are right now in 24 countries, and 6 of them are completely fully covered. So this is what our coverage map looked 1 month ago. So you could see that France, Spain, Portugal, as I said, Italy is actually going pretty fast as well. Ireland is almost covered. Belgium is almost covered as well. So that's important. And so I invite you to look at the Czech Republic and Ireland right now. So because I'm going to change slide and show you the coverage as of today. So this slide was 1 month ago, and the slide I'm going to show you after is right now. So if you followed well, you can see that Ireland and Czech Republic completely finished their coverage in 1 month. So again, if you come back at what I was saying earlier, is that as our network actually doesn't cost a lot, you can deploy it very fast, and which is really, really good, when you want to deploy like networks. So that's why Czech Republic almost ended their deployment, and Ireland right now is at 97% of country covered by Sigfox. So the Sigfox deployment goes quite fast. And you can see that in some part of Germany we are already there. We are deploying quite fast in Germany right now. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna check how much time I took just to be sure I don't fuck up the timing. When is it? So actually I'm almost done, so I'm just gonna come back on my slide for 2 minutes and then we're gonna go through the questions, okay? So just a use case for 2 minutes, just to show you the fun stuff we do with Sigfox. So this is, this is really important to understand that all the gadgets, etc., that you see right now, like the watch, etc., your connected scale, for example, this is what I call gadgets, and this is not where IoT is. All these gadgets are only the tip of the iceberg. The real money and the real use case are going to be done in something you don't see at all. So this is where the real business is. The water metering part, for example, is something it's a very, very huge market for us. All the the information on networks. Silver economy, it's something to help people to be better at home. If you are interested, I can actually answer that by email if you want. Smart parking, this is the solution which can go up to 10 years in battery life, the smart parking stuff. So this is quite important. Something interesting I wanted to show you is predictive maintenance on beer. Yes, it exists, and yes, it is even more awesome than you think. We had it at FWC this year, and it's basically they put some predictive maintenance stuff in the beer tap, and they are able to tell you when it's going to fail and when and so when you need to change it. So again, they don't sell you a beer tap anymore. They sell you a service of a beer tap which never fails. It's a complete different approach of the business, and this is how we can actually change business with Sigfox. A lot of use cases about Sigfox are tracking, of course. Pallets, it can look stupid, but it's a huge market for us. Connected, stuff which already exists, but just put them trackers in it. Just to know where pallets are is very important. They lose a lot of them every year, so a lot of use case in there. This is a French startup. We did a Kickstarter about outdoor tracking. So I invite you to go on Google and just type captures if you want to know more. They are based on Sigfox, and really, really important. So they are French. So you can actually buy one if you want. And Domino, this is important and quite interesting because it's just a simple button. The Domino use case is very simple. It's done by the French post office, and it's one simple button that you put in your mailbox. And if you want to send the package to your relatives somewhere, and that you don't want to go to the post office, the only thing that you have to do is push on the button which is in your mailbox, put the package in your own mailbox, and the mailman will come pick your package and send it for you. So it's that simple, and it's very, very clever. The object itself doesn't cost anything. It costs a few euros, and it's gonna, it's provide a service which is really, really amazing for all the customers. Tank monitoring as well. We do a lot of remote tank monitoring stuff. We announced 1 month ago that in Australia, they're going to connect 1 million tanks with Sigfox, just to know the level of it. So this is kind of a huge network market as well. And one stuff we signed for France is the connected boiler. So in French, chaudière. So it's basically, there is a lot of problems with the boiler going down because of any issues. Right now, they're going to, so in the future with Sigfox, they're going to be able to predict when it's going to fail and when they need to change all the piece in it. So this is very, very important. Last thing, trash, as I said, you put the Sigfox device in the trash, and then you can actually know when it's full and when it's empty, and you can optimize the way to actually get it. So, yep, the last one, I'm sorry, I'm really going really too fast to answer all the questions. So this one is the last one. It's about agriculture sensors. We see a lot of agricultural sensors to measure the quality of the soil, how much water in there, etc. So we see a lot of all these sensors that you can go in your fields, deploy in your fields, and make them autonomous for a few years. And they are going to tell you how good is your soil, etc. If you need more water, etc. So it's a lot of use case about agriculture as well. And I think that was my last slide. So I'm going to switch to question now. So just going back up. And I'm going to stop my screen sharing, I think, up. And you're going to see me again. Hey, so I'm going to see the answer questions. So I'm going to go back in history. Oh, shit, there's a lot of questions. So I'm going to take the last ones. It's going to be easier. So any plan to include Norway in your network, Fade? This is something we are working on right now. So all these questions about when our network is going to be available in other countries, I would love to be able to answer the stuff I know, but I can't do that. So I'm not going to answer to this. Of course, we have plans to go to 60 countries before end of next year, I think. So all the interesting countries in terms of business or in terms of use case, we are after them. And there is big chance that we already have customers who want to deploy there. So yeah, for short answer, we want to make it there in Norway. And now, we have to sign the deal with the people. 60 countries that include Canada, yes. It's a big yes for Canada. We are already deploying in the US, so Canada is one of the big stuff we are targeting right now. So, yeah, so the questions. Can you ask a question again if you already asked the question before, just for me to see them right now? Nope, I lost you. I'm going to try to find new. Okay, one of the methods. Spectrum and Sigfox is lower latency. So just for Sigfox versus Lora about the spectrum, we use exactly the same spectrum. We use unlicensed band for both of them. So this is not different about this licensed or unlicensed. Sigfox and Lora use unlicensed stuff. The difference between Sigfox and Lora is who is deploying them and which technology we're using. We are using ultra narrowband. We are using wide spectrum stuff, which has some troubles that I was saying a bit earlier. They have some better stuff than us. We have some better stuff than them. So it's more a question of use case than a question of license for network or something like that. No, it's just because of depending on your use case. Sigfox can be better, or Lora can be better for something else. As easy as that. And just one mention: don't mix Lora and LoRaWAN. Lora is is not open at all. It's something proprietary where you have to pay fees to Semtech. LoRaWAN is just a stack based on it, which is open source, but the whole thing is not open source. So yeah, just for you to know. All tackle issue to friends. No, this is a very good question, Simon Ford. Right now, so what we are working on is to make data centers in all the countries which need to keep data in their countries. So, for example, right now our data center are a bit, are duplicated in different countries, and we are working, and it's compulsory by the guys who actually deploy our network to be there in their country. So we are duplicating our data center in the countries that we need, that require this kind of stuff. So no problem on that side. You're welcome. And again, if you have questions, we don't have time today. Okay, thanks, Maria. I can go over if I want. So yeah, if you have questions again and we don't have the time, please ping me. I'm available on Twitter. This is my handle. I'm happy to answer after that. Which is your favorite template using Sigfox? This is very cruel question, Jason, because I'm the guy to handle all the startup doing Sigfox. So it's basically like saying, do I like my brother better than my mother? It's impossible to answer that. Sorry. But no, one of my favorite stuff, let's say, is it's a watch. It's not because of the startup. It's because of the use case, and it's because it's talking to me as well. It's a watch for elderly people who have Alzheimer's disease. So it's basically a GPS tracker in the watch, which always follows, the old people when they go out. And as of today, they only have solutions which work with local gateways. So old people, they can only go around their houses because if they go outside of the range of the gateway, they are afraid to be lost. And with Sigfox right now, it's amazing because they can get this watch, go around, and if they lost, they still have the GPS. And if they fall, there is an alert going on the network. So this is one of my favorite use cases. It's basically helping old people to get freedom again. This is amazing. I have a lot of startups working on this, and it's amazing. So sorry, I'm not going to be able to answer in names, but just a use case. And if you want to check which are doing that, is Swap and Coassist. Two our startup working on that. Does the extreme weather condition can be used different performance fade? It's a good question. We are right now, it's easy for me to answer. We are right now in Antarctica. So we have the Sigfox Foundation, and they put 2 base stations in Antarctica. And right now we have trackers on researchers in Antarctica, and it's helping them a lot. So yes, it can actually like weather condition can apply on performance, but actually not that much. Extreme stuff can have an impact, but not as it doesn't work at all. So this is really important to understand. It's always going to work, even in Antarctica, where we have tested for a few months and it still works. I have some plans to make it in the desert as well. We are working right now to put Sigfox sensors in rhinos to save them. So yes, it's radio. So as I said again, there is physics laws that you have to apply to. So it's going to be a bit impacted, but not as much as you think. So I'm going to go back on. So great talk. Do you see Sigfox in mobile moving device cars? Yeah, of course. We are working with a lot of devices like car manufacturers and trackers guys, etc. So yes, and this is the goodie behind Sigfox is that your object or your stuff can move around the world. So today it's in Europe and in Australia, etc. But tomorrow we'll actually gonna get the world covered, and then it's still gonna work the same. So this is very important to see that mobile devices which can cross borders, it's perfect fit for Sigfox. So yes, I can see that in a lot of this kind of use case. So I don't like why plus a SIM in every connector drive, in my opinion. So Simon, what's the key differentiator between NB-IoT? Actually, there is a few articles on that from Sigfox operators. So it's not Sigfox who's answering, it's the guys which are deploying our network in different countries. And I tend to agree with what they say. It's basically NB-IoT is something done for which will cost way more than Sigfox to deploy. It's going to cost way more to operate and to buy like modules and registration, network subscription, etc. So it's going to be good for a lot of use case, but they will never be able to compete with the low power and low price that we can do, etc. So this is actually really good for camera and for this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm a big. I mean, I really like what they came up with. It's okay with me. It's going to help in a part of the ecosystem. But Sigfox is very complementary to it. It's not a competition between two of them. It's really complementary. This is how I see it, and this is how my startups see it. It's you can do a lot of stuff in Sigfox that you will not be able to do in NB-IoT. And even coverage, for example, NB-IoT will be based on 4G coverage, which is a bit more. But just let you look at your phone and tell me if you have 4G everywhere. Nope. With Sigfox, we have devices which work really well in mountains, etc. So it's a very different use case. Yeah, I think she's going to transform. Yeah, 1 minute. Thank you, Anthony. Also, of course, houses for courses. Yeah, maybe. Each LP1, exactly, Simon, and I completely agree. We have each pros and cons, and the main thing people have to understand is that there are going to be, I think, 25 or I don't know, it's Gartner and all these guys, like 30 billion devices in 2020 or, this kind of a target. I mean, it's sure that Sigfox is not going to be able to take this, the whole thing. It wouldn't be good for, for everything. The thing is that Sigfox is going to grab a part of it, and which would be way more than enough to assure success of Sigfox technology. And again, all these use cases are very different from the one to another. So it's going to be, the needs are different, and of course, technology have to be different to address them. Again, I mean, I have a lot of startups who send one message per day, and they want to develop, thousands of devices. They don't need NB-IoT for that. So again, each technology is really made for different use cases, etc. And we see that as really complementary. So yeah, I'm just gonna go back a bit if I have questions. Again, technology, thanks Phil. Sigfox is more like an operator, which is true, exactly. Yeah, main difference is that Lora is a technology where we are an operator. So when you buy Sigfox, you buy the connectivity on the servers, etc. That on Lora, for example, you have to pay the fee at Semtech when you buy the device, the module. You have to pay your network subscription. You have to pay your cloud provider if it's not included, etc. So with Sigfox, everything is included, so it's a bit different. Open hardware or open source hardware? It's a good question, and so it's open hardware, meaning that the approach is open hardware, meaning that we are empowering all the semiconductors to the Sigfox, and we don't charge them. Everything is for free, and this is really important if we want to ensure competition. I said that we want devices which cost cheaper and cheaper, and if you have one and only semiconductor vendors to power all these devices, of course there's never going to be competition, and then the price are always going to stay the same. So it's very important that we have this open hardware approach, meaning that we give our license and our IP to all the semiconductors, and they fight on the price to go as cheap as possible. And then for consumers, it's really good. So by making it for free, we ensure that there is enough competition to make the price go down as much as fast. I'm just going to, is there new questions there? Nope. So I'm just going to go up again. What is the question? Which was a French startup who won the launch range records? They are called Identic, H-E-D, Identic. It's a GPS tracker, and they have a very small antenna, which is really funny to watch. And they are the record guy. I was hearing your presentation. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Ray. If you need any question, please let me know. I'm going to be able to answer. I can choose after. So I think okay. I think it's okay. So do you have any more questions, or is it enough? And again, if you want to reach me, this is this on Twitter and this by email. Let me know if you need anything. I'm going to post my slides on the net. And if you need anything, let me know. I'm available. Again, we really want to help startup to build some stuff with Sigfox. So if you need to run through everything, we'll be going to be able to do it. So yeah, if you need anything, please let me know. I'm going to be there. So thanks everybody, and see you soon, I hope. And I was almost on time with 45 minutes. So I'm impressed by myself. So have a good day, everybody. And yeah, just for you to know, I'm actually in Marseille right now, which is the south of France. So it's very sunny. Yeah, it's so I'm in a startup weekend, as I said. So I'm helping startup to build projects actually. So I'm gonna go back to help startup to build some stuff. And just for your information, we have 3 projects in this weekend. Right now with Sigfox, a connected mailbox. So startup is picking to work on that. A fall detection for motorbike. So a second project is working on that, and the third one I don't remember. But yeah, so we have a nice startup which may come out of the startup weekend with Sigfox, so that's nice. So yeah, have a good weekend, everybody, and thank you